morning, this is Bob Mason from FX Empire. Welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin and Ripple's XRP. We'll be looking at the MACDs, the moving averages and the day support, resistance and pivot levels. It is Thursday the 19th of November. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar, bearish start to the morning. Looking at the hourly candlesticks here, going to see Bitcoin move back through the pivot at 17,781 to bring the first major resistance level sitting at 18,443 into play. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Bitcoin to break back through to 18,000 levels. Barring extended rallying on the day, expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high that was sitting at 18,450 to limit any upside. In the event of another breakout, could see Bitcoin test resistance at 19,000 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 19,112. Failure to move through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 17,112 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Bitcoin should stay clear of sub 17,000 levels. Second major support level sits at 16,450. Looking at the MACD, we've got a slight narrowing of the bearish histogram, but nothing indicative of a shift in direction through the morning. On the EMA, we're also seeing the 50 flatten against the 100 and the 200, supporting the early downside. So failure to move back through the pivot at 17,781 would bring support levels into play. I've moved back through to 18s and expect resistance levels to come into play. Moving across to Ethereum against the US dollar, it's a mixed start to the morning. Going to see Ethereum avoid a fallback through the pivot at 477.05 to bring the first major resistance level sitting at 497.59 into play. Support from the broader market is going to be needed for Ethereum to break back through to 490 levels, however. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect further resistance level and yesterday's high at 495.68 to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, could see Ethereum test resistance at 510 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 516.23. A fallback through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 458.41 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ethereum should stay clear of sub 450s. Second major support level sits at 437.87. Looking at the MACD, we had a bullish cross this morning with the bullish histograms holding steady through the early part of the morning. So nothing conclusive there. On the EMA, we're seeing the 15 pull away marginally from the 100 and the 200, however, suggestive of a bullish morning ahead. So key through the early part of the day, avoid the pivot at 477.05, move back through to 490s to then bring resistance levels into play. Moving across to Litecoin against the US dollar. Positive start to the morning there. Going to need to see Litecoin avoid a fallback through the pivot at 73 to take a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 77.66. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Litecoin to break out from yesterday's high 77.04. So barring extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high to cap any upside. Fallback through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 68.82 into play. Barring extended sell-off on the day, Litecoin should stay clear of sub 68s. Second major support level sits at 64.16. Looking at the MACDs, got a widening of the bullish histogram this morning supporting this early upside. We're also seeing the 50 EMA pull away marginally from the 100 and the 200, suggesting a further upside ahead. So key through the early part of the day, avoid the pivot, move back through yesterday's high to break through that first major resistance level. In the event of a breakout, should see Litecoin test resistance at 80s. Second major resistance level sits at 81.84. Finally, looking at Ripple's XRP against the US dollar, bearish start to the morning. Going to need to see Ripple's XRP move back through the pivot at 0.2941 to take a run at first major resistance level sitting at 0.3077. Going to see support from the broader market for Ripple's XRP to break back through to 0.30 levels, however. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance and yesterday's high at 0.3082 to cap any upside. In the event of breakout, should see Ripple's XRP test resistance at 0.31 before any pullback. Should fall short of the second major resistance level at 0.3218, however. Failure to move back through the pivot will bring the first major support level sitting at 0.28 into play. Barring extended sell-off on the day, Ripple's XRP should steer well clear of sub 0.27s. Second major support level sits at 0.2664. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bullish histograms following yesterday's late bullish cross. And on the EMAs, we're seeing the 50 hold steady against the 100 and the 200 after a slight narrowing there in the early part of the morning to support that pullback. So key through the early part of the day would be to move back through that pivot level and through to 0.3 levels to then bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels will be in play.